Okay.
Good.
Very good. We're holding at the end of Perek Gimel. Sorry, the end of Perek Hey. Perek Hey Posuk Yud Gimel. Vayehi b'yois Yehoshua b'Yericho. Vayisa eina vayav eina ish omed lenegdoi v'charboi shlufa b'yodoi. Vayelech Yehoshua Elov vayomer loi halonu atoim letzoreinu. Vayomer loi ki ani sar tzvo Hashem ato bosi vayipol Yeshua el ponav arzo vayishtochu vayomer loi ma adoini medaber el avdoi. Vayomer sar tzvo Hashem el Yeshua shal na'alcho me'al raglecho ki amokim asher ata oimed olov koideshu vayas Yehoshua ken. Maise. Yeshua is b'Yericho. Emes Yeredarkoi. Gemara state Nedorim, he wasn't in Yericho because he didn't capture Yericho yet. He was in Ibura Shalir. The Gemara says Ibura Shalir is a din of a year. And this is right before the Chaimas fall, and he sees a Malach, Char B'Shlufa V'Yodei. Yeshua asked him a question, Du bist unsere, alonu atoim letzoreinu, perhaps you belong to our enemies, to the people sitting in Yericho. Vayomer loi, the only word he says to him, loi, Nishtahinu nishtahir. Sar tzvo Hashem. Ani sar tzvo Hashem. Ato bosi. That's the only thing he tells him. Vayomer ma adoini medaber el avdoi. Sar tzvo Hashem. What are you telling me? Vayomer lo shal na'alcha me'al aglecho ki amokem asher to'imed olav koideshu. Take off your shoes because the mokem asher to'imed olav koideshu. Doesn't tell him anything. There's no shlichus. There's no message. There's nothing here other than take off your shoes from your feet. The Gemara Omfang Maseches Megillah, and you can take a look at it in your notes in the first reference. State Amor de Gemara in Megillah Daf Gimel Mud Aleph. Omar Rav Yudah Marav Koihani B'Avidosom v'Levim B'Duchonom v'Yisrael B'Ma'amodom Kulo Mevatlim Avidosom V'Boyim Lishmoya Mikro Megillah. Tanya na mihochi koyani b'avidosim v'levim b'duchonim v'yisrael b'ma'amodom mevatlin talmud Torah u'boyim lishmoya mikra megillah. So halacha, somebody's holding middle of learning, you close up Talmud Torah and you come to listen to Kriyas Megillah. Mikan somchu shel beis Rebbe shoy mevatlin Talmud Torah u'boyim lishmoya megillah. I'm sorry. The previous Gemara says a kohen does avodah b'samigdosh or Levi is b'duchonim. They said shiur Yisrael b'ma'amodom. The Yisrael have to stand b'shas the Amirah and b'shas the din Amida al Akorban by Tmidei Tzibur, right? As if you state the Sugyas Agmor in Tainis Dav Chavov, they stop the Avodah and they go to listen to Megillah. So the Gemara Mikan Somchu Beis Rebbe, from this Gemara, from this Bryce, Rebbe Yosemech, that is Mevar Talmud Torah Bo Lishmoya Megillah. So the Gemara Kavochem Avodah, Uma Avodah Shi Chamura. Avodah is the Chamur Yosem Talmud Torah. Mevatlin Talmud Torah lekolshke. So the Gemara Avodah Chamura with Talmud Torah v'aksiv vayis b'yois Yeshua b'Yericho vayis ein vayar in ish omed lenagdoi. Right? This is unsere ganze Psukim Char B'Shlufa b'Yodei vayishtachu. For the more Akash v'Eichi over Yeshua ochi, how was he mishtachave ואומר רבי יהושע בן לוי אסור לאדם שייתן שולם מחברו בלילה חשים השמש עדו. If you see somebody at night it's pitch black, you're not allowed to give a shalom because maybe it's a shade. The shade him at night. So the Gemara shiny also the Omale ki ani sar tzva Hashem. The reason why he gave him shalom aleichem is because the Gemara vedil me shakri. Maybe it's a shade. No zokt aligent. He's saying a lie. So the Gemara Gemire de loy mafke shem shamayim levatola. We have a Kabbalah that a shade is not moitzi. He says sar tzva Hashem. He mentioned the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shade would not be moitzi shem shamayim levatola. Omaloi emesh. It was at night. Emesh means to say right before was Ma'ariv, right? When you were in Ma'arav a year, you were middle of the fight. Bitaltem Talmud Shel Ben Abai. Ve'achshav bitaltem Talmud Torah, right? And at night there's no milchama. You should be asking Torah. Omalei al ezemem velche. Which one of the two averas did you come for? Omalei al shel ato bosi. And the Aveira of now Bittul Teir. So Taisa says over here, he answered him, I'm coming. In other words, the Malach is coming to tell Yeshua Musar for two Aveiras that he has done. One Aveira is Bittul Talmud Shel Ben Abayim, which is Bittul Aveira, and the other one is Bittul Talmud Torah Badnacht. So he says, which one are you coming to punish me for? Which one are you coming to give me Musar for? He said, Al Shalato Miyad Yeshua Chazar Boy. And Yos Oisek B'Teira Shenemar Vayolon Yeshua Balaylo Hu B'Toich HaEmek Omar Rabbi Yochanan Melamed Shalom Be'umka Shel Aloch. As I state in the Gemara. But insufficient, I'll just like to, there's a nekuda here that we have to know, which is negeya to us here in Sefer Yehoshua. More shaila is, how does it give shalom? Is the halacha that you're not allowed to be Balaylo, you're not allowed to give a shalom to Chaver because Shem HaShed. There's an Isur B'Shoyel Shalom Balayla because Yechosh is Shady B'Ruchis. He's a ghost. He's a shade. Oh, but the Torah Pasuk befirish in the Torah. Lo yisasel l'chopesel v'chotmuna asher b'shamayim mimal v'asher ba'oretz mitochas v'asher b'mayim mitachas l'oretz lo yitishtach avelohem v'lo yisov them. The Gemara comes along and says in Rosh Hashanah, Kama Mekoymes in Shas, Ho'oise dmus maloche ashores. Now the Isur D'Oraisa of Ishtachavo to somebody who makes a dmus, an image of Malaach Hashos. Malaach Hashos Tochivasa Do Aloche in Ala Mishtach. How does Yeshua Mishtachave? Look at the Psukim. Psukim say Vayishtachvu. He asked him, "Who are you?" He says, "Sartz Hashem." Right away, Yeshua. Koyel Mishtachavim. So Halacha you're not allowed to Mishtachave to Malaach Hashos. So this Kashi is bothered by many Rishonim, and I'd like to quote three of them, which is negeh to us. The first one is the Rekanati, who was from the Gdeila Mekubolim in the Kufa, right after the Rishonim. I mean, he was right after the Ritva. He was Talmud for the Rishonim, he was Mekubal. And look at the Rekanati. You have it there. V'yesh lisho. Achar eshesh tachavo midal davay shechiva v'em toira miso. Ben kedako, ben shalei kedako. Eich Yehoshua yishtachav el amalo shenema v'yipol Yeshua upon of arza v'yishtachu. V'chen Avram Avinu. Shenema vayar vayorotz dikroso and Avram, the three malachim come. V'yishtachu arza. Zok the Rekanati v'yesh lehoshiv ki belov shom tsuras odom mutar lishtachavois lohem k'moi shemutar lishtachavois loodom ma she'en ken bepoishtom ha'malbush ve'oven zeh. Says this Isra you're not allowed to mishtachave the malach asher b'shamayim imal is only in as much that the malach kum betzuras malach. But if the malach by Avram Avinu steht nit nur like Arovim, he looked like a rabber. On here he looked like a person, like a normal person. Who are you? He asked him. Then there is no Isur v'shtachavo l'malach. Even though he's saying Eidus, Sar Tzva Hashem, I'm a malach, yet, in as much that he calls it Poishet HaMalbush, he takes off the Malbush of a malach and he looks like a person, there is no Isur. As I state the Rekanati. The real in Sefer Yehoshua, because all the Gdoila Kabbalah Rishonim was Isaac in them, I'd like to get to the Ram. I'd like first to say, the real Elboy Zoktazeh. There's a Sefer, Rabbi Yosef Elboy, Given HaRishon Akadmei, there's a Talmud of Rab Chizdoye Karkash, which is Echet Given from the Ritvas Zeiten, and he wrote a Sefer on the Yud Gimel Ikim of the Rambam. is Meforish Yud Gimel Ikim of the Rambam, and he was the Kadmoinim. He wrote a sefer. See, the Sefer Ikrim steht azeh. המשתחווה אלוהי מצד שהוא שליח השם הוא מותר. כמו שהמשתחווה לפקיד המלך מצד עצמו וכוחוי ומקבלוי כאודוי ולא מצד הכוח שיש לו בהמלך הוא מוירד במלכוס. והמשתחווה אלוהי מצד שהוא שליח המלך הוא כובד אל המלך. He says like this. When somebody comes in, he's an ambassador, he's a shliach of the melech. So in as much that he's saying, Ich bin Moshe Grois, I'm shliach of the melech, ich bin a ganzer minister. So if you can mishtachave to him, it's that koichoi, umekablo keoidoin, not as the koyach he has from the melech, he holds that since he's a shliach of the melech, he's in a position, you should mishtachave to him. That's called Moyer B'Malchus. But if you are mishtachave mitzad that you're the shliach of the melech, in other words, I'm giving the ishtachavot to you as shliach HaMelech, and not als you mishtachve to him because Avivai the Melech made him into a shliach, he gave him Moshe Grois, then not only it's not a merida, but it's a cover to the Melech. I'd like to always say over in Meisim with Abkivege, Abkivege once called one of the Sochrim that went to Broid to the market, and he told them, do me a favor, you're going next week to Broid. He says, do a Talmud mine, I have a Talmud, will Nebuchadnezzar nifter. He has a wife Almone, and the Almone macht chasna a tochter next Woche Sonntag. She's making a chasna next Sunday. I want you to go in there and say in my name to the Almone, I'm giving over a mazel. Present a mazel. No problem. Comes to the chasna, the Yom HaRishonim, they used to make the chuppah lunchtime and the Suda at night. He came before the chuppah, he sat through the whole chuppah and the tanzerei and the essen of them. He came at night right before the Suda started, and he stayed till after mitzvah tanz. Comes Ayit to him and tells him, this is boy, this is a local chasna. Everybody knows each other. We're not mitzad chosim, we're not mitzad kala. We know everybody. And I see, not only I see you here, mamish. Mitzeis achamo, atzeis aneshama. And it was done, mamish, biz, noch mitzvatans. You tell me who you are, and it's this interesting, fascinating. He says, to be honest, I don't know the chosna, I don't know the kala. I come from Poizne. Don't you know Yidra B'Kvege? The father of the kala, the Shizei Yisayim, used to be a Talmud of Kvege. Kvege asked me, I should go in and present him and be a Zogar Mazel to Talmud. He says, I understand you. What do you do for life? He says, he says, you're busy, of course, busy with the cup. He says, I understand. You come into Sefer Kvege Mazel Tov. Kvege Riba to Talmud. They say, ich bin a kama. Kvege asked me to please say a Mazel Tov. Why are you sitting over here? You said 3 hours lunchtime. You're sitting 5 hours now. Bis noch the mitzvah tanz bis noch alles do. So I'll tell you the truth. So, Kol Zman, I don't fulfill the shlichus of Rab Kvege. You ever see? I have a chance to be a Rab Kvege for another hour, He told me, I didn't say the Mazel Tov, you're Rab Kvege. He said, I'm going to come say Mazel Tov, Shliach. The Riel sagt in Sefer Yikrim, he says, if a guy comes mitzad, he's a shliach of the melech, so the covet you're giving, you're not giving the covet to the shliach, you're giving the covet to the melech. That's covet HaMalchus. If the guy is giving the shlichus, machmas, since he's a shliach of Kvege, is gewon a kapazität, that's a Meir de Malchus. Sagt Yeshua gave Sar Tzvor Hashem, his mishtach with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. He's not doing it. Sagt Uba'avur ze, look at the words of the Sefer Yikrim. Oyamuto Yeshua lishtachves la malach shenir lo b'Yericho, v'omer lo ani Sar Tzvor Hashem hata bos ve'ipul Yeshua apanu v'yishtachavo, im yoyis yishtachavo achas midal david she'osu v'asoiso v'afilu k'maloch ha'ashor k'zibuach v'kitu v'nisuch, לפי שהשתחוו יסוד לכובד השם, ליו זה שלוחי בלבד, So we have two different, one of them says because the Malbush was a Malbush Odom and not a Malbush of a Malach, and the second one says that andere Nusach. It's not a word of a Malbush, it's not the Shail of Yil Zetois, he could look like a Malach. But if Yishtachavo to the Malach Matzmas, he got a post, that's a Merida B'Malchus. But if he is representing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so the Yishtachavo, you Mishtachve to the Malach via HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this is the Tzvei Gdoila HaKabbalah for the Rishonim, and I'd like to move to the Ran in Chuvas Aram, a fascinating Ran. The Ran steht as in the Drusha Revi. Es a Hakdom, steht in Teir in Parshas Mishpotim. Hine anoichi sheleach malach lefonecho, lishmoch baderech lavyacha, lamokem asherechi. This in Shomer miponu v'shma bekoil al tamer boi. Ki lo isa lepishechem, ki shmi bekir boi. כי אם שמויה תשמע בקולו ועושיסה כל אשר אדבר, ועייפתי אסייבך וצוררתי אס אויבך. צוררך. So it says, I'm sending a malach, he's going to take you to Eretz Yisrael, Yishoma miponov, be careful from him. Ki shmi bekirboy. Was meint the Wörter ki shmi bekirboy? Sagt Rashi, afel nord in Parshas Mishpatim. Ki shmi bekirboy, mechuber l'roish hamikro, Yishoma miponov, ki shmi meshutov boy. Rabbi Seinu Omru ze matatrin, ששמוי כשם רבוי מטטרין בגימטריה שדאי. Shin Dalet. It's a besondere Malach. It's not a regular Malach. It's a Malach matatrin. Ki shmi bekibur, you gotta watch out. Look at the Ram. Listen to the Ram. Aval tzorich biur, right? Lomo, fragt der Ran Akash. Tzorich biur. Lomo utzrach los estam yishomim beponu v'shma b'kol mitzad yoyis Hashem yizboch bekibur. כי ידוע שהמלך לא יובקים מצד השם יזבוח ולא מצד עצמו. Every מלך, kommt doch nicht kein eigener Teure, he comes because he's a shlich Kadosh Baruch Hu. אבל נראה מפשט הכוסוף, look inside, שיצא ואיסונו שנינה כובד מזה המלך יויסר ממה שנעשה עם מלך אחר. כי מצד היואיש מוישה והקדוש ברוך הוא בקרבוי, ראוי שנינג עמוי כובד מאוד, כמוי שנינג עם השם יזבוח. וכבר דורשו רבי סייני brings the same Rashi. ואומרו זה מטטר ששמוי כשם רבה כשמי בקרבוי, כמו שאומר בפרק אחד מדין המומנס, אומר לה ומינה לרבה בכסיב, ואל מוישה אומר עלי אל השם. זה הפוסק in the Torah, מוישה אומר עלי אל השם, עלי אלי מבורד, because Baruch he's talking to Moshe. So what he say עלי אל השם, he's talking about himself בגוף שלישי, he's supposed to say עלי אלי, אומר עלי זה מטטר ששמוי כשם רבה ככסוב כשמי בקרבוי. ובין, beautiful lotion of the round. בין שנובין כוונוסו, בזה אמרנו שלא ינובין, זה מפרשתית יוד, זה מפרשתית נישט. אין סופק כי יש לרבי סיינו ז"ל הבדל גודל בין זה המלך מלוכים אחרים, עד שלניקרו בשם המיוחד שם מדלת איסס אלוהו, ולזה ציוונו השם יזבור שניתנה עם זה המלך כמו שניסנה עליהם עמוי. This malach is different than all the other malachim. The malach which is sent to conquer Eretz Yisrael is a shliach, shalech malachim lefonecho. It's not a regular malach. It's the andere malachim. Shmi bekibo yimuschuyev to misnayag hashem of dalad oisis yud kei vavke in this malach. Ubazeh, listen to this. Mistalik tema godel. V'u shemotzinu sheyishua yishtach v'lamalach mashalom ke lo yikisar tzva Hashem ha'atabot v'yipu Yeshua pona v'yishtach v'u min ha'tema. Echoyo muter זה לישוע רקסיב בשמיים ממעל לרבס מלוך השורס ואין סופק שכמו שעשו לסבויח ולקטר בלתי לשם לבדו עשו להשתחוויס כמו ששנינו בפרק אחד 4 מיסוס בייס דין אחד המזבח ואחד המקטר ואחד המנסה איך המשתחווה ואיני מויצה זוג דרן בכל מוקוים מי שישתחווה למלך אלו בילום שלא יום יכללנו שכוסו בויקוד וישתחווה לאחל אבל Yaakov roa malach v'lo yishtachavle. Yaakov saw the malach. Never find anybody in the Torah besides Bilam told him yishtachavle the malach. Ki lo yamutu v'kein eich hu sheyeshua yishtachavle the malach. So the Ran, listen to the Lashon. Tshuvu ki oisa malach shenira leyeshua u malach shehuftuchu bekan. Be'oimro ine shalech malach. Elo shemoishe Rabbeinu bitl ze kol yemei chayev shelo yimunhogim ki ima l'dei Hashem yizborach levadeh. Moshe Rabbeinu said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to have, right after Chet HaEgel, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you know what? I'm not walking with you. I need to learn Malach, no. I'm going to send the Malach, but I'm going to upgrade this Malach. He's not going to be a normal Malach. This Malach, I'm going to put my Shem HaMefurish in this Malach, and it's Keshem Rabbi, Matatroin. He's going to have the same validity as HaKadosh Baruch Hu Alein. Moshe said, if you're not, can we come with us? Ein on oilim, we're not. Im ein ponecho imon, if the Kodesh Baruch himself is not coming. So he was mevatel the gzeir, Moshe Rabbeinu bitl ze kol yemei chayv shalom minhogim kima dei yishboch levadei. Lefichach acharei Moshe Rabbeinu, nira ze hamalach be'atzmo liyeshua. V'kach omer betanchum, ani hu shebos, ani hu. This malach, he's telling Yeshua, listen to the words, shebosi b'mei Moshe Rabcha v'docha isi. ולא ירוץ השאל לכין לי. ואומר רואי ביטלו שלו ימוסרו ישראל לשר כל ידי מוישה רבינו. כיוון שמייס מוישה, חוזר רואי שעשר למקוימוי, שכן רישוע רואי יסי. כסיב ויהי בישוע ביריחוי, ויאמר שר צבא השם עתה בוסי, לכך נאמר הנה שלח לפניך. ומפני שיודע ישוע בהכרח הינו ברוח הקודש, שזה המלך שנאמר עליו כשמי בקרבוי, רו שהוא מן הרוי. Right? רו שהוא מן הרוי להשתחווה כמשתחווה להשם יסבורך ועושה כן. וזה אותם מה שכוסף בפרשת להשתחווה לאלוהיהם ולא יסעבדם. So Duran, right after he says, הנה אני שולח מלאך, he says the pasuk crunches up. לא תשתחווה, you come to ארץ ישראל, לא תשתחווה לאלוהיהם. שלא יהיה כאן, כי כבר איזה בעבירת כוכבים. בעשרת הדיברוס, אבל טעם יש הדבר, מפני שאומר על זה המלאך ששולח ישראל שנקבל עמוי. ונשנא הגימו קורב למה שנשנא עם השם יסבורך. כאומרו ישומע מפה ובשמע בקודם כמו שפרשתי, עד שמזה לא מד ישוע שימותו ורואי להשתחווס, חוזה ויזר לתשתחווה אלוהים כלי מאף בשיר ששיחו, וחבל להשתחווה לפני המלאך, לא יותר שעצם יכול להשתחווס לאלוהי העם שמועבדים גם למלאכים ולצבא השמיים, כי זה בלבד הוא תור מצד ששמי בקיר. So this is a fascinating word. This is, the Malach came by Moshe. Moshe was mevatel l'gzei, sent him away. And he came by Yeshua. I mean, listen, just make a shtickle mathematical cheshbon. Moshe Rabbeinu died Zion Adar in that year. We're holding over here Yeshua. When is Yeshua coming? When is this story of Yeshua happen? Anybody knows? I'll tell you in a minute, and we're going to come back to it. This we are holding right now, Chov Beis in the Chodesh. Chov Beis in Chodesh, right after Pesach. A day after Pesach, this is the morning after Pesach. Viful Shendov from Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was Nifta Zion Adar, and this is exactly 45 days after Moshe's death. So this Malach was sent away. It didn't show up on the radar. The whole time they were in Gilgal, they give us Arolos, the Shech the Pesach, they make outs on them. But now we go into business, because until now, the first 5 prokim, all we're busy doing, we're busy crossing the Yarden, we're busy going to Gilgal, schreiben the Torah, al Avonim, Korbonos, back and forth, Umas Oilam, coming back to Yericho, making Milo, and give us Arolos, making Efe Por Adume, Shechti in the Pesach, machen Ktsiro Imer, they were busy with the Yontif. Now, Geendik Yontif, Isru Chag, in the morning, going to business. He gave them peace. They only came to Eretz Yisrael 12 days ago. They came in Yud Nisan, 33 days past Moshe's P'tirin. 30 days and 3 days with the Meraglim. So right now we're holding right after Yontif. The morning after Yontif, Yeshua goes to business. Vayoba Yeshua beYericho. He's Nibur Shali is standing outside of Yericho, and he's going to start the Milchama, as we're going to see very soon. By the way, I don't want to be Michael because I would like to go to the next parak. I would like to achieve something today. The Ramban, I'll tell you, there's a machlekes. Ramban also brings down the whole Shikol Torah says in Ramban, but the Ramban says that this Malach was a Malach Gavriel. This Matatun is a Malach Gavriel. As I stated in Ramban, Rashi says Ala Torah. Rashi says it was Matatrin. Rashi here later is in the parak. Rashi says it was a Malach Michoel. So this Malach Hashem Bekir, the Gemara states in Sanhedrin was Matatrin. The Ramban says it was Gavriel Malach. Rashi says he was. Rashi is still in Chumash. He says Matatrin. There'll be more in Sanhedrin. And later on, he says he was Michoel Malach. They're right now going to be led not by a Kodesh Baruch Hu be'atzmoi. They're downgraded, but they're upgraded. It's not a regular Malach, even though Vaistoi Shteit Ramban Kishmi Bekir Boy, that the Malach Gavriel or the Malach Michoel, according to Rashi, has an upgraded level from all the other Malachim. But this Shem of Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is Shmi Bekir Boy, which gave Yeshua a heter to mishtachave to this Malach, is either Matatrin or Gavriel, because Gavriel is Matatrin, or Michoel, Rashi the Steer, because Rashi says Michoel is Matatrin, and Baal is Gavriel is Matatrin. About Koponim, he had Shmi Bekir Boy, the Shem of Yud Kei Vav Kei, and therefore Ad Kedei Kach, that although a different Malach, ish the Terutzim, the Malbushim, and Koved, and this and that. And Ran says if you would be showed up as a regular Malach, Yankov sees the Malach, he's not Mishtachave. The Einzike is Mishtachave, the Malach is Bilom. But here, he's Mishtachave because Shmi Bekir Boy, so Mishtachave to him is a heter for like Mishtachave Hashem. Ad Kedei Kach, the Ramban says, the Ran says that a minute later, Kodesh Baruch Hu said Yishtachave Elohim, because the Umas Oilim also coming with Kunzim, the Oivdil Elohei Hashemayim, when they come to Malachim. So you would think I gave you an exclusion to the rule that you're allowed to be mishtachave to a malach. So it's to wissen that lo is ishtachave Elohim avodah zorah, bleibt avodah zorah. A malach bleibt a malach. A regular malach the iser ishtachavo like zibuach, like nisuch, as if she's dating more than Arba Mises. This malach is special, extra, because there's a din kamoini, kimat kamoini, ben shenovim. The best word tonight was ben shenovim, ben sheloinovim. So versteht Yotz, und versteht nicht. Balkoponim, that was the heter of Yeshua, the Mishnah Malach. I would like to start right now, the next Perek Vov. The Yericho and Snegeya, to the date line, the storyline of where we hold it. The Yericho is Segeres and Sugeres B'nei Yisrael and Yoitze ve'ein bo. Re'emer Hashem Yeshua, Re'e nosati beyotcho es Yericho ve'es Malcho Giboy Rachayil, ve'saboitem es So'ir kol anshe HaMilchoma, Hakif es So'ir Pam Echos, right? You should be makif the ear Pam Echos, Koi ta'ase sheshes yomim. V'shiva koyanim isu shiva shofros hayovel lifnei oren, ubayom hashvi tasoivu es So'ir sheva pe'omim, v'akoyanim yisku b'shofros. Hoyo b'mshoich bekerev hayochik yishumam es kol hashofo, yori kolom tru gdoilo v'noflo choyma So'ir tachteo, ve'olo ha'om ish negdo. Miraculous. We're starting right now the Milchoma. This Malaach was Ish Yikum, and he's leading the Marocha, Kishmi Bekirboy, and you're going to start surrounding Yeshua. You're going to go the first day one time, you make one Tkiyah. The second day, the third day, you make. Seventh day, you're going to take 7 times surround the Yericho. You're going to blow not one Tkiyah in Shofros, but you're going to blow 7 Tkiyahs in Shofros. The the ganze people, this is the Kohanim going to do. The is going to say Truah Gdoila. We're going to see soon what is this Truah Gdoila. With this 7 Shofros and the Chayma of Yericho is going to collapse. It's going to be a wonder. We'll soon see Chazal tell us about how fortified this Chayma of Yericho. There wasn't a Pashat Chayma. The Chayma of Yericho that we saw, we met this Chayma. We were already inside this Chayma. We were inside the Goyan in this Chayma. When we talked about the story with Atzolas Rochov, we spoke about the Chayma. It was a double Chayma. And Kupanim, we're not touching, not a finger, not a bullet, not an arrow, nothing. The Malach steht, mit bloß der Schäfer, und sie fällt weg, Yericho. No, it steht in Yalchut, Yericho is Boriach Ha'oretz. Lama be-Yericho is Nagosh L'Tzisol. If you remember, you don't remember, but the Amoinim came, and they captured. They gathered together with Amalek and with the Seir. They came to conquer Amalek. We find it later on in Sefer Shoftim. If you know, Ein Lechosar V'Noga, the 31 Melachim in Eretz Yisrael, there was an embassy. You go in Washington, D.C., there's an embassy of all the states. Every one of these 31, Ein Lechosar V'Noga Eretz Yisrael, that they didn't have a representative in Yericho. Yericho was the Heipsh. Why? Because she Nagosh Eretz Yisrael. This is the passport control. This is the entrance to Eretz Yisrael. The Ma'abore Sayard, and just to give you a synopsis, on top there was Syria, which wasn't conquered till later on. David HaMelech conquered Syria, Aram Naharaim and Aram Tzoiva and Achleb. And the bottom was Mitzrayim, was sealed off. On the left side, on the west side of Eretz Yisrael, you have the Yam HaTichon, the Mediterranean Sea. The only border which is a live border throughout the whole Eretz Yisrael on the Mizrach side, it's from the Bashan, the Golan and the Bashan, going down through the Jordan River, pouring into Yam HaMelech, and going down all the way to the Gvul, the K'tzeh Gvul Edom. The whole place is sealed off. You can't go because it's water. It's water from the top to the bottom because the Jordan River pours into Yam HaMelech. There is no way to cross over. There's one place you can cross over. It's called Ma'aboris Hayardei. Ma'aboris are 2 bridges, no tolls. And there was sitting in passport control, you can't get in. So anybody that wanted to come to Eretz Yisrael, Derech HaYabosha, the only way you can come in was Ma'aboris Hayad, the 2 bridges, which the people who used to sit there, Amoin, and Moav, and Edom. Amoin was in the north, Moav was in the middle, Edom was all the way in the south, which was really given to Reuven, the Gad, the Chotzeh Menashe, but right now, they're not sitting there. Only the wives and the kids in the mirror, they went into to be Mekayim, the Tnai, Shemesh Shekim, Shemesh Shechil, because they have to go with them. So whoever is sitting on Ma'aboris Hayarden, the Gemara said, the Nago Shel Eretz Yisrael, the Bariach, the Shlisel to Eretz Yisrael is in Yericho. So right now, in order to give a shock treatment of Yeshua coming into Eretz Yisrael and breaking the moral of all the 31 kings, now you have to understand that once there was Melchemes Yericho, Noflo Pachdom, there was a Moirach. Rochov told them, Ki Noflo Imosav V'lo Yikam Ish. There's nobody else. They already heard the Mises for Yamsuf and this and that, and they're petrified. But they were still sitting in Yericho and still had ambassadors representation. So the way to conquer Eretz Yisrael, Yeshua is standing not be Yericho, but State Gmor Nedorim be Yericho, right outside the city, and he's preparing a major attack, but not a physical attack, but an attack with the Kohanim, with Tapol Shofros, with Kohanim, and this is the Yeshiva Samakubolim. This Yeshua Binu who's going and he's telling him instructions. How do we conquer Israel? The Chayim is going to fall. All the ambassadors are going to send telexes right away. Wherever the guy came, Melech Gezer, Melech Yerushalayim, wherever they came from, there's 31 Melachim that were in Eretz Yisrael. And they're going to say, listen, this guy came here that blew his horns. Yericho, the whole fortress of Yericho, the whole castle of Yericho, is going to fall down. Okay, so this is the story of Shtei Do'ins. When are we holding? What's the timeline? Where are we holding? So look, you have, turn around the page, look. Shtei Tazei. Shtei, the Gemara in Menachos, in the Flamit Shtei, Omar Rav Yeshua Barab, Omar Rav Gidl, Omar Rav. Shmoine psukim shebetayra, yochid koi ro'isav besakneses, keman deloi kerab Shimon. The Tanya, Vayom Hashem Moshe Eved Hashem, Ev Moshe Chav Koros Vayom Hashem, Vayom Hashem Moshe Elav Kan Kosav Moshe Mikam V'Elach Kosav Yeshuvim. We saw this Gemara several times. This is the day Moshe Rabbeinu writes the last 8 psukim in the Torah. Moshe writes Vayom Moshe. Zog Tesis. Ma Shenoagu. Look at Tesis. Ma Shenoagim Lo Matzidu Kadin B'Shabbos B'Mincha. Why do we say Tzidkoscho by Shabbos B'Mincha? Pirish Rav Sar Shol Goen Al Shenifta Moshe Rabbeinu. The reason why he said Tzidkoscho, Shabbos noch Mittag steht Rav Sar Spreng Tesis Rav Sar Sholem that Moshe Rabbeinu died Shabbos afternoon. Far Shalosh Judas Moshe is avek. Lefichach nimnu b'la'asok b'ter b'shem amrim en chodchom shemeis kol bote midrosh shebo'ir b'teil. Because דאכסיב ב-110 שנה, אנוכי היום, תחשין, היום, מול יום, ושנוי שרים בשבס מייס, אם כן כוסף היום, ערב שבס, which is not going to write on Shabbos. wie schreibt he wrote yesterday. How can he write yesterday? ויש לתמוע את הכוסף על האוסי, he's writing today about tomorrow's death. ולרב שמעון לבוי למד הפוסק נאמר לאוסי, מדקה שלי, לקוח הספר התורה הזה, שם על שם האוסי, Rabbi Shimon is the one who says, it's impossible to talk about the future. He says, Vayichtov Moshe. Okay, this is a kasha. We spoke about this kasha once. I would like to move to the second kasha. V'oit koshe, the Beseder Oilom, Tesis bringt doch a Breis in the Beseder Oilom. The Beseder Oilom, right, Mashma dem Shiva Shabbos, v'meis Moshe Rabbeinu Erev Shabbos Oyo, the Ktani, ve'achar HaPesach be'esrim v'shnayim. Here is the morning after Pesach, be'esrim v'shnayim. סובבו יסעיר כל אנשי המלחמה עקב פעם אחת. ויהי ביום השביעי וישכימו בבוקר, רבי יוסי אומר, יום שבס היה. This Choymas Yericho falls down on Shabbos. השתם שהזחילו לסבא בחוב בייס ניסון, אם כן יום השביעי שהוא שבס, חוב חס ניסון. חוב בייס is Sunday, חוב גימל is Monday, חוב דל is Tuesday, חוב ה' is Wednesday, חוב ו' is Thursday, חוב זין is Friday, and Shabbos is חוב חס. ובדחפחס, Nisan Shabbos, Shiva B'Adar, let's go backwards. Chodesh Adar is always Chodesh Choser. So if you go backwards on the date line, comes out that Zion Adar, Moshe Rabbeinu was Nifter, was Friday. The reason why he said Tziduk Adin and Shabbos is because Moshe Rabbeinu died. Moshe Nech Tiketo. Koydem Ko, Moshe Rabbeinu, Azei steht in Tesis, Al Kaponim steht in Tesis. Tesis brings on the Gelin Yaneinu. That the Shivas Yemei Hamotzer and Yericho start commands that Chav Beis Nisan and concluded in Chav Ches Nisan or Chav Ches Nishan Shabbos. As I stated in Tesis. Now, this Tkiyas by Milchama, they were below the Shofar and Shabbos. Okay? So I'd like to ask a kasha, and this is really where I would like to start this year, but we're holding it already by the end. I'll later by the end of the year. We're going to wait till next year. State in Torah. Siddha Posuk in Torah. Parshas Ba'al Yisrael. Take a look at the Pesukim in Parshas Ba'al Yisrael. Vaydaber Hashem Moshe asel lecho shtei chatzotzos kesef miksheh tasa oisom ve'hoyu lecho lemikro eido ulemaso es hamachanos. Number 1. V'chisavoyu mulchom be'artzachem al atzor atzor eresre v'aroeisem b'chatzotzos v'nizkartem lefnei Hashem Elokeichem v'noishaitem Elokeich. Number 2. וביום שמחתכם ומועדיכם ובראש חודשיכם וסקעתם בחצוצות על עודיכם ועל זבחי שלמיכם והיו לכם לזכור לפני אלוקיכם אני השם אלוקיכם. There are 3 things in the Torah that there is a din of Tchiyah b'chatzotzos. One is mikro eido Un masa esamachales. Every time you want to gather the whole Klal Yisrael with Givos Chatzitzos. Ulamasa, when they were going the 42 Masayas from Masa to Masa, the blue, the Torah says, 1 tkiya, 2 tkiyas, steht there, ganze program, how do you do it? Now, Kaponim, the first function of the Chatzitzos is to be called the Eidah, Lamikra Eidah, to be Mezamet, to convene everybody together, Ulamasa Samach. The second one is, by Mulchom. וכיסבויו מלחמה בארצכם, והרויסה בחצוצרס, ונזכרתם ונשעתם באויביכם. We have a recipe. If you have a מלחמה with אויביכם, blow the חצוצרס ונשעתם. And the third one is, על הלויסכם, there's a din by oilas tzibur, the ganze sugi in Yericho, which korbanos need, not by korbanos tzibur, by Roshei Chodoshim, and by Yom Simchas U'Moedechem, there's a din in Tkir b'chatzos. The Rambam paskens, and as I state the sugi Sagmor in Rosh Hashanah, that Tkiyas Chatzitzos is Doiche Shabbos. If the Tkiyas Chatzitzos Amur is Ben B'Choil, Ben B'Shabbos. Notwithstanding the above, the Rambam Paskes by Mitzvahs Hakel. We know that by Moitze Yontov Rishon of Chag HaSukkos, in Motzei Shnas HaShvius HaShmita, there's a din of Hakel. Mitzvah D'Oraisa B'Hakel. It's Machlokes Achronim. What do? You do it at night? Or most of Achronim Mechaschilach, Aganze Shmuas, if you make it motzei at night or you make it in the morning. Pashtus, it's in the morning. The morning after the first day Chol HaMoed, that's when the mitzvah take on the Sefer Torah, the Melech is called the Sefer Torah, etc., etc. State in Rambam, Yoim Hakel. Look at the Rambam. You have the Rambam. Yoim Hakel. Shechali is b'Shabbos, me'achrin oisoy la'achar HaShabbos, mipnei tkiyas ha'chatzotzos v'atchinois she'en adoiches HaShabbos. The Rambam says that mitzvahs Hakel is, even though there is a din tkiyah chatzos, why do you need in Yerushalmi state? What's the time that we have at tkiyas chatzos by mitzvahs hakel? It's not one of the three things. Teretz is because by hakel is lemikra eido. And Chonami, you don't have mikra eido. You gather everybody. Anoshim, noshim, v'taf, ritin, schalam, eviyim. Everybody has to gather together. So mele you blow chatzos because that's by coincidence. That is the time of Mikra Eido. If Mikra Eido, so you mainly have to call. Steht in Rambam Klo that the din Tkiyas Chatzitzos is not Doiche Shabbos. So this halacha of Tkiyas Chatzitzos, b'yom Simchas U'Moedechem b'Rosh Chodshechem, after Korbanos Tzibur that you have to blow Chatzitzos, state that there is a halacha that it's Doiche Shabbos. If Yontav Chali is b'Shabbos, Yom Simchas U'Moedechem, then blow Chatzitzos, ben b'chol b'Shabbos. And Mikra Eidah, the Ramban al Torah, Moedik, fascinating. Ramban says, Lo motzinu be'achas me'arboim v'shtayim masoyes shenosu b'Shabbos. They never ever commenced to travel, even though it was Al Pi Hashem Yachma, Al Pi Hashem Yisrael, they never ever. The Ramban says, Lo motzinu be'echol min ha'masoyes shoyeh b'Shabbos. Mainly, there's no Maso Eidah. So, right now we have a suffix. Right now. So, the Maso Eidah was never echetimtz. Lemikra Eido, this is the place that we have over here. The mitzvah of Be'aroisem B'Chatzotzos B'Milchomo steht nicht. In Korbana steht the halacha is the sugi Rosh Hashanah the Rambam is Doiche Shabbos. Vosim mit Mikra Eido. The Rambam says that the Yerushalmi state the only reason why you need Tkiyah Chatzotzos by Hakel is because it's Mikra Eido. V'lo motoko b'Chatzotzos mipnei she'ikilu es kol Eido. When Dosh steht in Rambam, if he falls, if you first day Yontav Chals, Chalamoya, the Motzei Yontav Chals and Shabbos, you postpone the din Yom Hakel until tomorrow. Why? Because it's Tkiyah Chatzotzos is Chil Shabbos. Now the question is, here we're holding in by Yericho. Teisus had gemacht a calendar, and Teisus brought that Teisus a Breise of Seder Elam Rabbis, a Breise. As Chovches, he given Shabbos. Well, now they're blowing shofar. Here they blow shofar, and that's really what we're going to make the next year about. They blow shofar, they don't blow chatzitzos. I don't know why didn't they blow chatzitzos. It's a whole shayla. We're going to speak about it. Why don't they blow chatzitzos? Where's the chatzitzos here? State shofars. What's the gewon mit chatzitzos? So Medrash state, Aser lecho mishalcho, you're going to have chatzitzos, but Talmidcho Yeshua is not going to use Mishemesh Moshe Nignezu chatzitzos. So they didn't have chatzitzos, because Meish Moshe Nignezu. Why did they make new chatzaitzvus? So we're going to speak about it in the next topic. But the question that we have here, the Tkiyah Shofar could be the worst chatzaitzvus. We'll see some Rishonim, we see Ramban and Tainis, and we see the whole Sugis Hamoyah, the Ran and the Rabbi Tzrachia Halevi speak about it. But Lemaisa we have over here a Tkiyas Shofar b'Shabbos. We don't find Tkiyas Shofar b'Deicha Shabbos only b'Mikdash. B'Gvuli we don't find Tkiyas Shofar or Tkiyas Chatzos Deicha. Lemikra Eido we find the only places in Hakel, and Dalton is not Deicha Shabbos. He postponed it till tomorrow. And the question is here: how is Yeshua? How is Yeshua telling them to blow shofar on the seventh day? 7th day is lo yimolet, even if it starts not on a Sunday. But if the din is you have to go 7 days, it's always going to be Shabbos intuition. Either midtkiyah g'dayla with the 7th kiyas, or it's going to be, if it starts on a Tuesday, it's going to be in the middle. It could be 1 tkiyah, or about tkiyah till Zayin. And the question is, how do they blow shofar on Shabbos? So in Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to see that